Folks, welcome to a Christmas special of Dow's Weekly Digest. You know, it's a season of stories. In 1965, in my little black Mustang, I heard this story. It's kind of a modern parable, if you will, on the Christmas story. And it's entitled, The Man and the Birds. This gentleman I'm going to tell you about, now he wasn't a Scrooge. He was a very decent man. He loved his family, took care of his family, and with his business handlings, he did the proper thing at the proper time. However, he didn't believe in that incarnation thing about Jesus. He just didn't. Around this time every Christmas, he kind of got uneasy because you see, the family would go to the Christmas Eve service. And he told his wife, he said, "I'm sorry, but I'm not going to go to church at Christmas Eve service with you tonight." He says, "I would feel like a hypocrite. I don't believe in that Jesus thing. I don't believe that God became a man and came down to earth. And again, I would think I'd just be a hypocrite. And so I'm not going to go. But I'm going to stay up. When you get back from the Christmas Eve service, I will be here." They said, "Well, we'll say a prayer for you." Now, shortly after, the family goes down the driveway from the farm. It starts to snow, Midwestern snow. So it started getting a little heavier, and then the wind started to blow. So he saw this, and he thought, well, they took the pickup, and so they'll be okay. So he settles into his nice chair next to the fireplace. And pretty soon, he's sitting there, and he hears, and pretty soon, he hears some more. He thinks, what the heck is that against the house? So he sticks his head out the door, and he looks out. And to his amazement, he sees a whole flock of birds. You see, folks, these birds were flying into the picture window. The light from where he was by the fireplace and the light in the house was drawing the birds in their confusion in the blizzard right against the picture window. And so those little birds were right there, kind of confused, right there. And he goes to try to shoo them, and they just stay right there. He thinks, well, I need to do something. So he goes back in the house. He thinks right away. He says, we've got the barn where the kid's pony is. I will open up the barn. So he puts on his hat, he gets his coat on, gets his boots going, goes on out, goes through the snow, and the snow is getting deeper and deeper. Opens up the barn door, turns on the light, stands back and says, okay, now they'll go to this light. To his amazement, nothing happens. These little birds, they just stayed right on the snow, almost like they were froze there. So he gets thinking, well, maybe if I get behind them and shoo them, they will then go towards the light. He gets behind the birds. He starts to shoo them. They start flying. They start running, but they don't go towards the barn. They go everywhere but the barn. So he gets rethinking, what can I do to save these little birds? He thinks, well, maybe food will do it. So he goes into the house and he gets some breadcrumbs. And when he gets the breadcrumbs, he comes out and he starts to make a trail right from where kind of the most of them are all the way to the barn. That's got to work. Folks, they just look at that. They don't even eat it. They're shivering. They have no intention of eating any of those frozen breadcrumbs. He doesn't know what he's going to do. Of these poor little weak birds, how could he help them? And then all of a sudden, in his analytical mind, it hit him. You know, if I became a bird, then they wouldn't be afraid of me. They would understand me. You see, when he was trying to move them and even give them help, it was like He was a monster to them. They were fearful of him. They didn't understand what he was trying to do for them. And again, his thought was, if I became one of them, if I became a small bird, I could speak to them. Then they would see and they would come to understand that there is safety and I can take them to safety. About that time, at the church service where the family was at, they were lighting the candles as they were holding them, and they were singing the last hymn, that being Silent Night. And then they rang the church bells. And even though the church was away in that strong winter wind, he could hear the church bells. And folks, when he heard those church bells ringing, then all of a sudden he realized the true Christmas story and why Jesus needed to be Emmanuel, God with us, in order to lead us to safety. And at that point, the man got on his knees. Folks, I hope you enjoyed that modern parable of the Christmas story. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me that I was able to share that with you today. We here at Financial Markets, we wish to wish you a very Merry Christmas, a joyful Merry Christmas with your family, whether they be with you or they not be with you. And may the peace of God, that peace that passes all human understanding, that indeed that be with you and your family. And again from us, Merry Christmas.